This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber Mills, and today my fabulous co-host is Jené Luciani. She is a best-selling author as well as a bra fitting expert, and we are so excited to have her today because we are going to be talking about everything having to do with the bra size. Whether you are a biggie, a bitty, whether you are a cancer warrior, survivor, you've had to have a mastectomy, we are going to get you totally covered and have a lot of fun in the way. I want to thank you so much for being here today, Jené.
Should we say covered or uncovered?
Oh, what's funny? So you sent me one of the gem bras, and we're going to talk about your line of gem bras, towards the end of the show.
Yes.
But I was debating, I'm like, should I just wear this? And listen, audience, my listeners, I love you, and I am an open book, but I was like, maybe I don't need to be that open.
Why not? The nice thing about it is it's like a very full coverage. So,
Yeah,
because it was originally designed for QVC and the QVC audience,
right.
which tends to be a little bit older. So it's nice full coverage style bra. So you can feel comfortable in it. I would say it's like more coverage than a bathing suit.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just wasn't ready today. I wasn't ready to show off all the things.
next time.
I think that for so many of us, wearing a bra is something that is putting on underwear, right? It's something that we have to
Yep.
do every day. It's like part of our daily routine that is baked into our routine. Um, but yet so many of us, myself included, it's like finding the right fit. Sometimes it's like you'll also wear a bra long past its prime,
Yes.
where it's
Oh yes.
gapping and not fitting right. Not that we're lazy on it, but I think that finding the right fit for a bra is really difficult.
Yes.
Why? Why is that?
Well, I think part of it is as women, we don't want to face that our bodies change. So that's like a big part of it. It's like maybe you are going through menopause or maybe you just gained some weight during the pandemic like all of us did or maybe you have, lost some weight and you're not happy with your figure. Like whatever's going on, even a weight loss or gain as small as 5 pounds can affect your bra size, which means that it can even be different during that time of the month. So I think as women, we like don't want to face these changes that we're going through. And then the second part of it is, which is also as women, this is an act of self care, in my opinion. And so it often falls by the wayside because we're taking care of our families, our homes, our children, our spouses, pets, whatever. We're so busy that we just don't have time. And this is something that you have to take the time to do for yourself. So it's like the thing that goes on the list that keeps getting bumped down. We just
Right.
don't address that. And, the fact of the matter is, you really should get a bra fitting or learn how to fit yourself, which is pretty easy once you get the hang of it every year. Um, just so you can kind of regroup. And then you can address, like you mentioned earlier, those bras that maybe are past their, prime and it's time to toss them and refresh and, shop for some new ones or what have you. So that's always like a good rule of thumb. But I think that's why we have so many women walking around. I mean, the statistic is like 90% in the wrong bra, which I personally think it's higher than that based on my experience working with women. So I think that's why you have so many women that are like walking around just not in the right size.
When you're talking about your experience and that you've seen so many women not in the right bra, what are some of the things that you've seen that you've identified that are like, wait a minute, you're not wearing the right bra?
There are so many, like even subtle signs. The funniest thing is I got an email into my website today from a woman and she said, I have big boobs, but small shoulders, and I always have the strap slipping off. And almost like 90% of the questions like this one that people write into me, the first thing I ask is, when was the last time you were fitted? Do you know if you're wearing the right size? Because the wrong size will really kind of like target all those problems that we're having can be really addressed with that. Like gaping in the cup, you mentioned that, right? That is oftentimes too big of a cup. If you have the strap sliding down or the back band riding up, that often means the band is too big. So there's like everything can kind of be attributed back to a size issue.
Right. I also find that it's really hard to because, company to company, sizes vary, right? So I've been
Yes.
going to Victoria's Secret since I was like, old enough to shop at Victoria's Secret.
Right.
But I feel like I'm one size there. I did a
Yeah.
bra fitting with Cosabella, right? An
Hmm.
Italian branded brand, and European
Yep.
sizes are very different.
Totally different.
Totally different. And I think that that can
Yep.
be really tough too.
Well, Victoria's Secret, I will tell you, has gotten a lot better. I actually worked at Victoria's Secret when I was in college, way before I ever knew I was interested in bras, and I was pursuing a communications degree, and I became a journalist right out of college. And I, sort of became interested at that time. But back then, it was, you were trained to make sure that people walked out the door with bras in hand. So because it's very expensive for a bra company to make a lot of different SKUs, which are a lot of different sizes, like for them to have 25, 30 different sizes on their racks, that's very expensive for them to do. So like in the 90s, for example, Victoria's Secret would have their core size range that they would carry in their stores, and they would train you to fit every woman into those sizes. So you could be actually measuring a 32F, and we would have you walking out the door in a 38C. It's called sister sizing
Sister
because bra
sizing.
sizes are based on volume. So that was how the industry was. And then the European brands were a totally different animal, sold in specialty shops. They would have a lot more sizes, but the sizing was different, right?
Right.
And they would kind of fit more true to size. So companies like Victoria's Secret have gotten better, I think, more because of outcry from customers and women getting educated and learning about how to fit the proper bra. I mean, I was the first person to ever write a book on bras. This came out before social media. The first edition came out in 2007, after Oprah's Big Bra Intervention show. And I really think I was part of helping, educate to women, which was really important to me, especially as a journalist, as I'm sure you can relate to. That's what we do. We bring something valuable to the public. So I felt like here I am educating consumers. And I think women got more educated about it and went to these companies and said, you need to make my size. And so they're making a lot more sizes now, which is really nice. But yes, to address your point about the fact that all the companies have different sizing systems, what a lot of people don't know is that companies use fit models, and these models are real people. They're not like a computer generated thing. It's like you or I going in there. So it's become subjective because say you're the fit model for a company and you go in there and they measure you and they say, okay, you're R34C. You could be another company could measure you and put you in a different size.
Yeah.
So that's where it becomes somewhat subjective. And then they base their whole line on your body, essentially. So you end up having like all of these different kind of bras with different styles with sizes that aren't standard across the board because of that reason.
I mean, but it sounds like helpless. So like what are we supposed to
Right.
do? Um or is it just like before you buy any brand you have to go on their sizing chart or get fit? Yeah.
Yes. So the first step really is measuring yourself and kind of having at least the two measurements as a guideline. The great thing is many companies now are offering further help with that. So it goes beyond just like clicking on a size chart on their website. They're actually offering you customer service reps who might be, trained in bra fitting. I went to the She Fit headquarters years ago in Michigan, and she's so smart because she
Yeah.
wanted her customer service people to be able to really help women fit with her bras. So I trained the whole staff in how to get a proper fitting bra. And I spent the whole day with them. So they became certified in bra fit and now they can pass that along to consumers. So it was great because, you can, and they also have like apps and fit
Right.
tools. Like I know Third Love has some stuff, quizzes, that sort of thing. Some companies are addressing breast shape, which is another thing that women never think of. So if you're a little more volume heavy in the bottom of your breast, you might need a different style than someone who has that like top volume heavy breast. Or
Right.
if you have more of like a teardrop shaped breast as opposed to a round breast, you might have a different style or have different needs than a woman, vice versa. So companies are really stepping up to the plate and kind of addressing all of this.
I want to say too, going back to Costa Bella, because they had virtual fittings. So that's become a
Yes,
popular thing. Um,
I do that as well.
and
For people who reach out that ask me for that, I'll do that as well.
which is helpful. And
Yeah.
we are really kind of addressing women right now, but I know that a lot of companies now are starting to make bras for men and for people
Hmm.
who might identify as a different gender. That there's a
Yes.
whole new market of inclusivity that is coming
Yep.
sort of around, which is really, really exciting. And that's going to be very different, right? Because somebody who
Yeah.
maybe was born a biological male is going to have different proportions, perhaps,
Yes.
than a woman,
Typically, right, you would have that
a wider
larger
band.
band size,
Yeah.
and oftentimes they would have breast implants. So, yes, that would be a different need when it comes to bras, and a lot of companies are doing that. I also learned when I launched the Gem Bra, I had a bunch of people write to me on TikTok and say, "Can you make a binder?" And I thought that was so interesting. So, a lot of non-binary people, they look for something to bind the breasts. It's called a binder. And they were like, we would love a binder with a crystal, a healing crystal in the center. Like, we love the idea, we love the concept. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to do this for you. I will definitely put that in my plans for the future. So it's really interesting, to see how even just the, 15 years that I've been circulating around in the industry, to see how things have evolved for people.
I mean, it's wonderful. Are you gonna so you're gonna do a binder?
I would love to. I launched as a startup basically during the pandemic, because I had a prototype and I pitched it to QVC and I won their big find contest. And so I did one production run, self-funded, one bra for QVC. Thank you. So, which was like, still scares me to death, to be honest with you,
Right.
that I'm like, every day I wake up like in a sweat. I'm like, did I do the right thing? I sold most of my inventory and I had so much positive feedback, and so many women were so receptive to what I was trying to do. Not only with just making a good bra that kind of fit the most amount of people, but also that had the angle with the healing crystal. So kind of uplifting you both in body and soul. So I really wanted, there it is right there. So that's the soda light in the tan bra, which is called the Attract Piece. So that was something that I was really wanted to do, but I need funding to move forward,
Right.
further funding. So I'm in that same boat as so many female entrepreneurs, where I am looking for partnerships or funding, applying for grants, all sorts of things like that to try and move forward. But luckily in my business and in my field, I do still consult for a lot of different intimate apparel companies, and I still have my writing and my TV work. So I'm still out there,
Doing
helping
doing
women and doing stuff.
Oh, I want to wish you the best of luck, because I think it's
Thank you.
it's certainly not easy to be a business owner. I can't even imagine.
Right.
Um, you know, you mentioned you have so much experience working with a variety of different brands. It's October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. When it comes to, women who are going through treatment who might have had to have a mastectomy on one or both breasts. I
Yes.
know there's a lot more companies that are coming up. Are you familiar with any that you've worked with that really
Yes.
have nailed this?
Anna Ono is amazing. She is a breast cancer survivor, and she has made a line of bras and intimate apparel that really address the different concerns of women who have gone through breast cancer surgeries. So, like you mentioned, there's a unilateral mastectomy, there's a bilateral mastectomy, there's some women who have implants, there's one implant, there's all different cases. And so she actually made different styles that accommodate all of them. So she's been getting a lot of press and buzz lately just because she's really serving kind of that underserved market.
Right.
And then Jean Crisscross Intimates, she is also a breast cancer survivor and made some really unique bras that are really meant for post-surgery. So it's great that you have these kind of like trailblazers that are doing that. And I think because of their personal journeys, just like mine, you know, something we can all relate to, they're kind of like on a mission
Right.
basically to make it happen and get everything out there because of what they went through and their desire to help other women. So I really appreciate that too, because for me, it's never been about a money making venture. Like, of course, you need to put food on your table, and I have 4 children. Let's be honest, like children are expensive, but but in my heart, it's always been about helping people and getting, you know, kind of using my platform, using my voice to be able to reach as many women as possible and people as possible, as opposed to just like making a living.
Right. Which I think is so great. You know, you mentioned before taking a very different turn, right? But that these two
Yes.
incredible founders, you know, went through this and had this. I'm going to offer up my own personal. So I had a breast lift because
Hmm.
I went from an A cup to a D cup when I was like in 7th grade overnight. Um,
Wow.
you know, and I grew up always with large, you know, not, I would say
Yeah.
larger breasts, but not like
Yes.
giant breasts, but like large
Right.
breasts. You know, and by the time I got to 41, they had sagged. I never nursed a child, so it wasn't super dramatic, but I
Hmm.
wanted to kind of get my groove back on. Um, one of the things that was interesting to me, so I went to one of the top breast surgeons, really
Hmm.
in the world. He recommended the Victoria's Secret sports bra.
Hmm.
That is
The
his
knockout,
the knockout bra,
knockout.
knockout maximum support that has the
Yep.
bra inside. And then,
Yes.
it's so funny.
It's
I
a
wear
great
those
breath.
every day now, all the
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
Mostly because I work from home. Of course, I wear like other bras if I'm going out somewhere.
Hmm.
But it's funny. He actually, that was like, he's like, that is the best thing.
Hmm.
And when I was recovering from surgery, he's like, this is going to be great for you. So if
Yeah. Because
anybody's
you want a
getting
little bit of compression too.
compression and
Yep.
support.
Yes.
But here's another thing. If you're thinking about, we've talked about breast implants before, and breast revision surgery. One thing that I was surprised. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have my breast lift. They put in a small implant, to keep the
Hmm.
size and volume. Um, I thought, oh my God, my life is going to be changed because I'm going to be able to I don't have to wear a bra anymore. Big, big
No.
misconception. My doctor
Yep.
was like, I want you in a bra 23 out of 24 hours a day because
Yep.
otherwise we're just going to get right back
Yes.
to where they
Yes.
were, right?
Implants do sag. Normal breast tissue sags. It's skin, it's ligaments. Everybody will sag. Genetics are a
Right.
huge part of all of this. I have a similar story to you in that I had a breast reconstruction. I've actually had 2 breast surgeries. I had a lift on one breast because I developed as a teenager with something called tubular
Yeah.
breast deformity, which really sucked.
Really.
It was
Yeah.
like so dramatic. I had a really severe case of it. And I was like, what is this? I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. Like, we didn't have even like stores near. I mean, it was like crazy. My
Same.
mom owned the local clothing store. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like
I know.
there was no, we didn't even have like a Walmart, I don't think at that time. And I I was like, what can I do? So I just hit it and like was shameful, ashamed of myself for looking this way until I graduated college and I got my first job at an NBC affiliate and I realized I could have surgery and fix it. And I like financed the surgery and I went to my parents and my parents were like, wow, we had no idea because I would wear Victoria's Secret miracle bras and I would take out the padding on the one side and leave the padding on the other side. And under shirts, I would kind of look normal. And I would also wear that bathing suit in the summer, the Miracle Bra bathing suit, and do the same thing. So people didn't really know, like they
Right.
weren't, studying my breasts to know, like, oh my gosh, they look so different from each other. I had like over a cup size difference between the two.
Wow.
Plus, one was tubular and one was like a normal shape but saggy. So it was pretty
Right.
bad to be like 14, 15, 16 years old and looking at down at yourself or looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, oh my God, why do I look this way? And
Yeah.
all the other girls, like I would look around in the locker room after gym class and the girls had these like round, perky boobs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell is the matter with me? Like, I'm a weirdo? So I ended up opting for the surgery. It's not for everyone, but yes, to your point about the fact that even if you've had breast surgery and you have implants or that sort of thing, you definitely need a well-fitting supportive bra. There's been studies out of the University of Portsmouth in England, which kind of has been the forefront for the studies on this stuff. And they put women on a treadmill. So even if you're just walking around, like you're running errands or dropping the kids off at school, like you're just walking on a treadmill, not running, nothing high impact, they found that your breasts still move up and down a significant amount when not supported by a bra. And even if you're an A cup, they moved up and down the length of a paper clip. So even if you think, oh, I'm so
Wow.
small, I don't like, remember way back when Katie Holmes running the New York City Marathon with no bra, and it was like a big story. They were like, oh my God, she's very small statured and she probably didn't feel like she needed it. But there are a lot of studies. So if you are concerned about sagging and aesthetics, and even like, to me, that can cause pain as
Yeah.
well over time. I really believe that. So that's like an interesting question, thing that people always ask me about. They're like, oh, do you need a bra? Especially there's been a lot of debate about whether or not sagging can happen when you're sleeping. So
Yeah.
there's this whole thing like movement of women who swear by sleeping in their bra. And
I
then
sleep
there's
in my
this
bra
other, me too, every single night I sleep in a
every single
bra.
night now. I never
Just
did.
more comfortable though. It's
I
more
never
comfortable in my opinion.
I never did. I never did prior to the
Right.
surgery. I wore a bra every day. I had to.
Yep.
But now I sleep in a bra, but I sleep in like like what like it could be like a lace camisole. It's not,
Yes.
but I'm
It's
telling you,
something.
everybody,
Yep.
every day I'm in that knockout bra running my
Hmm.
errands at the grocery store, on meetings with Zoom when I don't have to be in
Yep.
real clothes. That's what I'm in
Right.
because
Yep.
you know I'd like to put off having another surgery for as long as I can. It's not fun.
Yeah. No, they aren't fun. And I've also been kind of exploring with a lot of women recently on Facebook boards and just other friends of mine who actually, I don't know, there ended up being like 3 or 4 people at one time that I knew that felt that they had breast implant illness and opted to get theirs out. My implants are about 20 years old at this point, or older than that, and also silicone. So I don't have any symptoms personally, and I have no plans right now to get mine removed, but that's been a whole big thing too. You have this whole sector of women coming out who are asking about how to, what do they do now for bras going back to their smaller natural breasts when they've had these implants for like so long,
Right.
because they're opting to take them out and get a lift or whatever and just have natural breasts. So you have all kinds of like things going on right now, in that world, which is interesting. I don't know, that's something that hasn't been researched enough yet, whether your implants really can make you sick. And again, I don't have any personal experience with that, and I've had mine in a long time, so. But there is some talk of that lately,
Yeah,
especially.
we've done a lot of talk about breasts on this podcast. And as you've heard before, make sure no matter what, if you're considering any breast surgery, whether it's a reduction, whether it is implants, that you have a talk with your physician, that you ask about all the
Yes,
side effects, all the risks,
yes,
ask about the
possible.
recovery, everything
Yep.
possible. Um, you know, that's what you got to do. I do
Yeah,
want to segue
totally.
really quickly because I want to talk about, first of all, the bra book there is so much going on, but this is such a great book. I love that you've covered
Thank
everything
you.
from the history, which you call it the herstory of
Yes.
bras, all the way up to fit tips, fitting for your body shape, fitting for your
Mhm.
breast shape, right? Whether it's
Yes.
teardrop, more volume up top, more volume on the
Yep.
bottom, to also talking like, how to address puberty and wearing a bra
Mhm.
with your teenagers.
Yes.
So if you want to look in and if you are looking for everything that you could possibly know, I love this, the bra book. It also talks about swimwear, which is really
Yes.
great.
It's been updated. So that's actually the second printing of it,
Okay.
which came out in 2017. So it has been updated. I actually did go back and revise some things from the first edition that I
Okay.
learned over time I felt differently about, which was interesting. One of those things being fitness. I used to feel really strongly that you couldn't do anything to boost your bust with fitness. And then I became really into weight training. I had basically a near death experience. I had a blood clot in my lung
Oh my
right
God.
before right before I was writing the second edition, and learned that I had this genetic predisposition to clots, that I never knew I had. So, which is scary. So, after that, I decided to really take care of myself, and I got really into fitness and into weight training, and I actually noticed a difference in my breasts.
Yeah.
I felt like they looked perkier. So I was like, you know what? So I went back and I revised that section of, different kind of chest exercises you could do to boost the bust. And then I added swimwear and shapewear because I felt like, these are parts of intimate apparel that in the past few years since the first edition came out that are really kind of important now. I don't even think shapewear, maybe Spanx had come out in 2009 when the first edition came out, but
Probably not. Right.
right. So it was like you have so much more available to you. So I said to my publisher, was like, it's time for a second edition. And I said, ooh, we have to add all this stuff. So I kind of took out my own personal story, which I had shared more in the first edition, which I felt everybody kind of already knows that now. If you followed me at all, you already know my journey. And now it's more about you and less about me. So
Right.
I was like, what more can I, bring to you and bring you this kind of Bible? And it is a nice kind of like coffee table type book too.
Yeah.
It's definitely a conversation piece.
And great.
So
Listen, also great for what's really cute. My girlfriend sent me a gift when I got my new my new ladies.
oh,
So
perfect.
like, I don't know if you know somebody who's getting breast surgery, that's kind of a nice thing
Yes,
to have because they're gonna need to
that
know
with a gift
how,
card.
how
Yes,
to refit. Before we let you go, because we are running out of time here. Let's talk about the gem bra. We mentioned
yes.
this. We know that this is a line for QVC, but what was the thought behind putting a gem in the bra?
So a lot of women wear crystals in their bras, whether you know it's happening or not. It's a big, big thing nowadays. And it's funny because I got into TikTok when I was launching the bra, and I learned that the TikTok community, especially, they are so into crystals. And women have been putting crystals in their bras for, I don't know, however long, forever, basically. And each crystal kind of brings with it different sort of powers. And it's not something new. Like crystals, Jerusalem was built in crystals. That's how far back we've been talking about the power of crystals. So I thought this would be really neat if I can embed a crystal in a bra. It's a patented design where it's affixed to the center of the bra. So you never have to worry about it. You never feel it. It doesn't fall out. But it's the first thing that you put on during the day, like you mentioned earlier, and you know that that's there with you. So
Right.
it's already you're feeling better when you put it on because it's bringing you that kind of feeling. So whichever crystal it is, it's evoking that sort of thing. Like the amethyst really inspires confidence and courage, and that was in my Attract Success bra, which was the black gem bra. So you could feel that right away by just putting this on. It's like, again, back to self care, what I talked about in the beginning. Here's your teeny tiny little act of self care that if you have no time in your day, you already did something. You're already
Amazing.
set.
I love that.
Thank
Now,
you.
if people want to know more about the book, or purchase a bra, where should they go?
Okay, so my website is jeneluciani.com, which kind of links to everything. And that's also a forum. If you don't follow social media or you're not into social media, you can find me there, obviously, but that's a forum that you can write into me. You can ask me questions. The gembra.com is the place to buy the remainder of what is left from Gem Bras, because I don't have much left. I don't have a ton of sizes, but it is offered in small to 3X, which is cool. So accommodating a lot of different sizes. And the book is Amazon, Barnes and Noble, really any place that you buy books. You can find
I love that. And don't forget, if you want to do a personal fitting with Jené, you can also reach out to her on her website, which is
reach out to me.
Really great. And because she's worked with so many, you can kind of guide us, and also maybe introduce us to some new bras. I want to thank you so much for being on with us today, Jené.
Thanks for having me. Thanks so much for having me. It was fun talking with you.
It was so great talking with you. And of course, if you at home have any questions you want me to pass along to Jené, I'm always happy to do that. You can email us at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday, hopefully in a better fitting bra. Bye.